in this question, we are required to show that this surd can be written in the form of a plus b square root of 2. Now, the approach that you're going to use is what's called rationalizing the denominator. So you're going to rationalize the denominator. Now, what it means by rationalizing the denominator is to remove a square root from the bottom. Yeah, so remove root from the denominator. Okay, so that's basically what we are going to do. We are going to rationalize the denominator. So to rationalize the denominator, we multiply both the numerator and denominator by square root of 2 plus 1. So basically, what we're going to have, this is what we have in the question. So basically, to get rid of the square root from the denominator, we multiply square root of 2 minus 1 multiplied by square root of 2 plus 1. And this is the reason why. So note, from difference of two squares, difference of two squares, um, two squares, we know that a plus b multiplied by a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared. So ideally here, in this denominator here, square root of 2 minus 1 multiplied by square root of 2 plus 1 will be equal to square root of 2 squared minus 1 squared, and that will be equal to, this will be equal to 2 minus 1, which is just 1. So basically our denominator will be equal to 1. Remember, the plan is to remove the root from the denominator. That way we can end up with an expression that is in the form of a plus b square root of 2. So basically we know that our denominator will be equal to 1, okay, from here. Now for the numerator, we have to work it out. So let's expand the numerator. So to expand the numerator, we shall use foiling method, what we learn in algebra. So 4 plus square root of 8 multiplied by square root of 2 plus 1. So you basically just FOIL this like that. So I'm just going to label this 1, 2, 3, and 4 so that you can be able to follow through the discussion, what's going on. So for 1, we have 4 multiplied by square root of 2. Now that will just be equal to 4 root 2, so that's pretty straightforward. For 2, we have square root of 8 multiplied by 1, which is just square root of 8. But I'm not just going to stop there because they want the answer in the form of root 2. So I'll write this, expand this such that, rewrite 8 such that one of the factors is a perfect square. That will be 4 multiplied by 2. And this is same as square root of 4 multiplied by square root of 2. Now we know that the square root of 4 is 2, so that's 2 root 2. Okay, so we have these two answers. 3 square root of 8 multiplied by square root of 2. Now that will just be equal to the square root of 8 multiplied by 2, which is square root of 16. Now we know that the square root of 16 is just 4. And then for part 4, we have 4 multiplied by 1, Oh, that's the easy part. So that will just be equal to 4. Okay. Now, if you add this together, so let's add this together. So if you add this, you'll end up with 4 root 2 plus 2 root 2 plus 4 plus 4. Now, I know 4 plus 4 is 8. And then 4 root 2 plus 2 root 2, that will be 6 root 2. Okay, so our numerator is 8 plus 6 root 2. And you can see that this is just the same as 8 plus 6 root 2, which will be the required solution. Yeah, and that's how you work out this question. Okay, let's move to number 8. So for number 8, we are required to rationalize the denominator of this, where A is an integer and B is a prime number, and then you simplify your answer. Okay, so basically what you're going to do here is, let's start by just multiplying out by rationalizing. So rationalize the denominator means that if you have A plus square root of 4B over A minus square root of 4B. So we are going to multiply the numerator by A minus square root of 4B. So we multiply the numerator by A plus square root of 4B, and then A plus square root of 4B. If you remember from the previous um, question, number 7, difference of two squares. So I switch the signs in the denominator so that I can be able to apply difference of two squares. All right, so let's start with the numerator. So for the numerator, we have A plus square root of 4B multiplied by A plus square root of 4B. And we are just going to FOIL this. Now, if we FOIL this, we shall end up with a so let me label this 1, 2, 3, and 4. So basically for 1, we have A multiplied by A, which is just A squared. And then for 2, we have square root of 4B multiplied by square root of 4B. And that will be equal to the square root of, you can write this as 4B squared, because you multiply that by 2. I mean, so that will just be equal to 4B. And then for 3, you have square root of 4B multiplied by A, which will just be A square root of 4B. And then number 4, you have A multiplied by square root of 4B, which will just be equal to A square root of 4B. So, and then what I'm going to do next is add this. So if I can just, so add this. So this will be equal to, if we add this, we shall end up with S squared plus 4B plus A square root of 4B plus A square root of 4B. Now we can simplify this by adding them together. So that will be A squared plus 4B plus 2 lots of A square root of 4B. All right. So that's the numerator. We have the numerator here. This is the numerator. So for the denominator, apply difference of two squares. So if we apply difference of two squares, we know that a minus square root of 4b multiplied by a plus square root of 4b will be equal to a squared minus square root of 4b squared. Now this will be equal to a squared minus, if you square root, just cancel out, so that will be 4b, and this will be the denominator. Yeah, so the resulting solution, I mean, we need to write it numerator over denominator. So basically, the resulting solution will be equal to s squared, which is the numerator, so s squared plus 4b plus 2a square root of 4b. I'm going to write here 4b over s squared minus 4b. And this will be the required solution. In this question, we are required to rewrite this index in the form of x to the power m over y to the power m. Now, if you notice here, is that here we have y over x, and here we have x over m. So you have to find out switching those. Anyway, so one thing that you have to remember here is that, if you have a square root of something that is same as that to power a half, so this is one of the things that you have to remember. Second thing you have to remember is that, let's say if you have a over b to power, let's say, -1, or in this case, let me use something like negative m. Actually, let me use negative n, because m has been used in this question. So this is the same as, you can get rid of that negative by switching these two numbers. Yeah, so this is same as b over a to power n. So these are true statements. And this is what you're going to use to rewrite this expression. So basically, let's first of all start with the square root sign. So this is the same as y over x to power a half, and then all this over to the power of -5. Okay. Now the next thing is I'm going to multiply this 2. Again, let me just add one more rule here. So another rule that will be useful here is that if you have a to power m to power n, that is the same as a to power m multiplied by n. Again, that's another rule that can be used here. Again, I like putting this in the bubble just not to confuse with the solution that you're working on here. So we can multiply these two together, so that is same as y over x to the power of a half multiplied by -5, and that is the same as y over x to the power of -5/2. Okay, so this is the point where I'm going to apply the second rule here. So to get rid of that negative, I'm going to switch these two. So I'll end up with x over y to the power of 5/2. Now, and again here, we have everything to the power of 5/2. So this is the same as x to the power of 5/2 over y to the power of 5/2. Okay, so the power applies to each of these guys here. So basically, m here, by inspection, m will be equal to 5/2.